UFC 314 takes place this weekend. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. An amazing card, and we will be giving our full card predictions from the early prelims all the way up to the main event. Starting with the card, Nora Cornell taking on Haley Cohen. Nora Cornell is 2-1 in the UFC. She has a KO win over Melissa Mullings, who's a decent English prospect. I think she's 7-1 and won her last fight by knockout. Nora knocked her out in the second round with dirty body knees. She's a very, very aggressive fighter. 8-2 professional record with 6 wins coming by KO, 1 by sub, and 1 by decision. And both of her pro losses come to Jacqueline Cavalcanti, one in her UFC debut, pro debut, and then one in the UFC where it was a very close split decision loss. And Cavalcanti's 4-0 in the UFC, so it's a honestly fine loss in my opinion.
Yeah.
Haley Cohen, on the other hand, 0-1 in the promotion. Her only fight was 2 years ago against Jamie Lynn Horth, who's bottom of the barrel. She was outstruck in that fight, didn't do much. She had a couple takedowns, and she hasn't fought in 2 years, like I said, and has 6 canceled fights surrounding that. So she gets hurt all the time and just isn't very impressive. And there has been some stuff coming out recently about her husband. I'm not going to get too into that at all because it's a bit too fucked to talk about. It's not even laughable, but like I'm sure you can give that a search about what's going on with Haley Cohen's husband. The mental game going into that fight, knowing that kind of stuff is just, I don't think you're fight ready in my opinion. Yeah.
It's like Higa said, you either come out for a round 1 knockout and you use all that anger for fuel, or what normally happens is that's going to get to you, and everything that's been going on with your actual whole life outside of UFC, it almost probably feels like it's coming down on her right now.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to be coming into this one with a pretty rough headspace, and it's probably going to catch up to her again. She hasn't fought in 2 years because of that list of injuries. So yeah, I think Nora's going to take it by decision. She'll probably cruise to it too. Maybe a late KO, honestly, but I think she takes it by decision.
I agree with that take. Both of what you said there. I have her by decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is a late finish there.
Yeah.
And I think it'll just be with potentially the same thing that she finished Melissa with, those body knees, because she's very aggressive. And when Haley Cohen can't land those takedowns eventually, it's just going to be a sitting duck on the feet, in my opinion, where Cornell will actually look to land big bombs, and she does have legit power for the weight class. So yeah, give me Nora Cornell to win by decision.
I don't mind the odds too right now. I thought it would be more, or she would have been bigger of a favorite for sure, but yeah, that's pretty good right now.
Yeah. Moving on, we have Tresean Gore taking on Marco Tullio. Tresean Gore, 2-2 in the UFC. His losses in his first 2 fights being a decision to Brian Battle and then a round 1 KO loss to Cody Brundage. I went back and watched that fight because I just kind of had to see what was going on in that fight. How did you get KO'd by Cody Brundage in the first round? And so he's walking him down, and he's got his guard up. And Brundage lands a right hook, like through his guard almost, drops him real bad. And the thing that also made me like open my eyes even more was the follow-up shots. So Gore kind of like held him down for a second and like recovered for like maybe a couple seconds. And then Brundage pops his head up and lands like 2 ground and pound shots, and Gore was out cold, and that was a wrap in the first round for Cody Brundage. However, since those 2 losses, he's bounced back with submissions in his own hands, being over Josh Fremd and Tricoli, Mackenzie Dern's fucking husband. It's just bottom of the barrel competition in my opinion. Like, say what you want about Josh Fremd, I mean, I think he has a submission over Cedricus Dumas. We'll talk about him later in the card. But it's just like, how much do you weigh a Cedricus Dumas submission for a Josh Fremd win?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's not much. In this fight, I really question the chin for Tresean Gore, and he's just going to be spamming takedowns because on the feet he is completely outmatched, and I think he will get him to the ground early in the fight, like within the first like 30 seconds to a minute.
That's exactly what I have down. The last 3 things you just said is exactly what I have down for this fight. I think he's going to get him down once, and he'll probably struggle with it for the rest of the fight, honestly.
Yeah.
And then, Marco's just going to cruise. He's just going to cruise on the feet. He's going to outclass him, outstrike him, so.
Yeah, I agree. And like to talk about Marco for a little bit, he's 1-0 in the UFC. His win is a weird KO win over Ivo Potieria. There was a lot of fouls in that fight. But he had 2 Dana White Contender Series fights, his first one being a win over the 6'5" Dutch kickboxer Yusri Belgari, who trains with Alex Pereira. He actually beat Alex Pereira in kickboxing and fought Izzy 2 or 3 times. He fought Alex 2 or 3 times. Marco Tullio beat him by decision. He outstruck him on the feet, landed good takedowns, and then Dana was kind of pissed that Yusri didn't get the win there, so he kind of said, slow your roll, Marco, you're coming back. And in his second fight, he impressed with a beautiful spinning back kick knockout to the body. There's no brainer if you're signing this guy now. He's 13-1 overall, 9 wins by KO. And I see him finding the body to Tresean Gore, hurting him bad, and then going upstairs with a big bomb that'll probably put him out cold late in the first round. So yeah, I'm going to take Marco Tullio by knockout.
Damn, I'm taking Marco Tullio by decision. I think we go back-to-back decisions to open the card.
Fair. Moving on, we have Suma Dereji taking on Mitch Raposo. An interesting fight here because Su's had a weird run in the UFC so far. He's 3-3 in the promotion. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, and he was on a 3-fight winning streak before then. One thing I will say about him is that out of his 7 losses, 6 of them come by submission. The other one being a decision loss in his last fight to Energy in a close fight where he was dropped in the second round, but it was actually a really close fight in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it honestly was. Yeah, I gave it to Energy. I was also probably a bit biased watching the fight too, but yeah, I did go back and watch it once, and I think it was a 29-28 Energy. Honestly, pretty fair. So. And
Suma Dereji's 2 submission losses before then were to Matt Schnell in a comeback of the year for Matt Schnell. Absolutely unbelievable fight. I'm sure lots of you guys know that. And then the fight before then, he was submitted by Tim Elliott, where he was just kind of controlled. But like, if you know Tim Elliott, the guy's he's in the top 10 for a reason, and he just can't kind of get around the big hump, the big top dogs. But he's going to beat everyone from the 15s, the 12s, and up, in my opinion. Mitch Raposo, on the other hand, he's 0-1 in the UFC. He lost his UFC debut by split decision to Andre Lima. There's no way that fight should have been a split decision, I will say.
I strongly agree. I was going to ask you what are your thoughts on that fight, because I did just go watch it back like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there was no way that should have been a split.
No.
I think it was 53-31, 6 strikes, like at the end of the fight, like total count.
Yeah, it was.
Got outstruck all 3 rounds, had 1 takedown. They both had 9 seconds of control time.
Yeah.
Bro, come on.
Mitch landed 10 significant strikes in rounds 1 and 2. Just very low volume, and he wasn't doing anything on the ground either. He's also 0-1 in the Dana White Contender Series, where he lost by round 2 submission to Jake Hadley, who's fighting in the PFL, I think, this weekend. And he also lost on The Ultimate Fighter to, I forget who it was, but it was a guy who did not pan out to be anything. So it's a little bit hard to back Mitch here. I know that he's a well-rounded guy. He has 4 KOs, 3 subs, 2 decisions, and he lands 2 takedowns per fight. He'll look for that as a big victory here because obviously the ground game for Suma Dereji is his weak point. It's been exposed many times with those 6 submission losses. But I just kind of think that the takedowns that Mitch will get, Su's going to be able to really quickly pop back up to his feet. I think Su's going to be obviously the rangier guy, the taller guy. He's going to stick to the outside. He's very good coming in with those in and out movements, the fast twitch 1-2s, that type of stuff, sharp teep kicks, leg kicks.
Yeah, exactly.
I just kind of see him picking Mitch apart for the whole fight, to be honest, and I see him winning a 30-27 decision, potentially an early finish, in my opinion. It could be live for Suma Dereji. I think the first 1-2 that he lands could put out Mitch, but if it doesn't, I think that it'll cruise to a 30-27.
Oh.
Yeah.
I put down I'm going to take him by split. I think Mitch keeps it close, And yeah, that's exactly like you said is what I have written, or what I put down for this fight. He's got a twitchy, quick, kind of style to his boxing,
Yeah.
and not much power behind it. Again, I want to watch the Andre Lima fight. His legs get eaten up. He kind of bounces around too much to the point where he doesn't have much time to actually defend his lower body or even his his legs. But,
yeah.
So yeah, I think he's going to get picked apart in this fight. 30-27 I can honestly see, but I think he'll probably get outclassed and he'll get a little judge bias and maybe a split. I did put down 29-28 for Suma though. So
yeah, Sue by decision is the pick. Moving up the card, we have Cedricus SD the Reaper Dumas taking on Michael Olejniczak. To start off with Cedricus Dumas, he's 3-2 in the promotion. His last fight being a decision win over Dennis Tululin, who was 10-10 as a professional and went 1-5 in the promotion. Tululin in his 5 losses was finished in all of his losses except for Cedricus Dumas, which was a very close fight actually.
Yeah.
Dumas just had him by about 20 significant strikes. But if you know Dennis Tululin, the guy is the worst grappler of all time, and they were even 3-3 for takedowns that fight. Cedricus Dumas has been anything from impressive so far in his UFC run. I really hate to say it because we've known him before anyone's known him, in my opinion. Like,
I 100%
we were
agree.
watching his
We've
fights
been with him
way
since day
back
one.
in the
Exactly.
day.
Yeah, so it's like it's so tough to say that I'm going to pick against him in this fight, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just done picking him. That's the thing. And I pray to God that he proves me wrong. I want to see Cedric do good. I think he can be good. He's still young, so. Oh wait, no.
He's 30.
I got fact check. Yeah,
He's 30.
fact check. I remember thinking he was young, but
Still young, but like he's
a little bit. Like he's just kind of newer to the game, so I don't know.
100%.
I still have hope. I think he can evolve. Every time I think of him as what was it, Dana White Contender Series, standing guillotine. Is that what he had?
I honestly forgot. I don't know if he came from Contender Series.
Oh, okay, maybe. I don't know if
it was
his
when we were
first
watching
fight or
his
something.
backyard fights.
I remember he had some sick standing guillotine that reminded me of John Jones, but yeah, that's when I kind of fell in love with him. So.
He had good submission skills, and like it looked like he had some legit skills before coming to the UFC, and then since coming, it looks like the guys have like got hit in the head and forgot everything that he ever knew.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy's losses in the UFC are by a round 1 KO to Nursultan Ruzaboyev in a weird fight where there was also fouls from Nursultan. I think he poked him in the eye. It was that Nursultan poked him in the eye, and like Cedric covered up and like waved on for the ref, and the ref didn't stop it, and then he got hit with a big uppercut, sat him down and finished him.
Yeah, that was tough to see.
And then the submission loss to Josh Fremd, where he was genuinely dominated and submitted by Fremd. It was not a good look. His wins being a shaky decision over Abu Azaitar, like are you kidding me? A shaky decision over Dennis Tululin, and then a boring ass decision win over Cody Brundage where he just squeaked one out. I have here that he's got powerless striking, bad defense, bad takedown accuracy, and bad takedown defense. You can fact check me on all of them. He's below 30 on both of his takedown stats. I don't think that's going to really matter here, the defense wise. Coming back at him for Michael Olejniczak. Purely a striker, powerhouse striker. However, he is 0-3 in his last 3, losing to Shara Magomedov in a close decision in his last fight. He got subbed by Kevin Holland before then, where he dropped Holland and then followed it up and got hit in a gross armbar, and his arm ended up getting snapped. And then he got submitted by Michel Pereira in about a minute. That was when Michel was having his he won like 3 fights in a row in a minute. It was some fuck shit when he moved up to 185. He's finished 6 of his 7 wins in the UFC by KO. Most of them are in the first round, and he's had multiple knockdowns in most of those fights. He has very legit power, and he is capable of getting takedowns in his own right. We saw that in his last fight where he had 3 on Shara. So like the guy's clearly, he's come out with like a little bit of depression and the fact that like he's like kind of done if he probably loses this one. But he's clearly being more smart about how he's fighting when he's trying to attempt takedowns on Shara. He's not going to ego for ego with someone like that. And it was a close fight. When you're doing that stuff with Shara, and you're fighting Holland, and you're fighting Michel Pereira, and you got KO wins over Chidi and Jukwani, like that's so much better than what you're getting here in Cedricus Dumas. It's almost a layup in my opinion. All he has to do really is stuff some shitty takedowns coming at him. And I think that the strikes that Cedric throws at him are going to get nicely weaved and countered by Olejniczak. He's going to look sharp in this fight. Both guys are 30. You'd think that with the history of both guys in the UFC, you'd think that Olejniczak's 5 years older. No, both guys are 30, and I just think the experience here is going to show, and the levels to the UFC are going to show here. Give me Michael Olejniczak round 1 KO.
Round 1?
Yeah.
I'm taking Michael Olejniczak round 2, 3 KO.
I think all of his KOs are in the first round, so I'm just kind of riding with that.
I think Cedric makes it out of 1. I'm not going to diss my boy too much.
Moving up the card, we have Darren the Damage Elkin taking on Julian Juicy J Arosa. I personally love this fight. I think it's going to be amazing. When I first looked at this card, I was all over Darren Elkins. I looked at the price tag of what his underdog was, and I was just like, there's no way you're giving me Darren Elkins as a plus 400 or something underdog against Julian Arosa. And then you kind of think, Julian Arosa, the guy's got back-to-back guillotine wins over Christian Rodriguez and Ricardo Ramos. Ramos not too impressive, but the Christian Rodriguez win is very, very, very impressive. That was when he was on all of his unbeaten streak in the UFC besides JSP and like his debut or something. Julian Erosa is good, man. The thing about him is he's kill or be killed. He's been finished in like 6 fights. I think he has 6 KO losses in the UFC. Before his 2-fight guillotine streak, he was on a 2-fight KO loss streak to Alex Caceres with a brutal head kick and Fernando Padilla. The striking coming back at him this fight, however, is not going to be a threat. Darren Elkins is that grinder who wears people out. He'll mix in those dirty takedowns, land dirty elbows. He's got good submission defense and offense. However, I just see Julian Erosa picking this guy apart on the feet. He does have good striking in his own right. And the guy's got very impressive wins, actually. He submitted Sean Woodson, submitted Charles Jourdain, a few other fucks, obviously, like I said. And I see this fight. One thing that I will say about Darren Elkins is the guy does very well on opponents that have not great gas tanks, to the point where he can wear them out throughout the fight, take some damage in round 1, Hines is his nickname, maybe round 2, and get them to the mat and submit them in the 3rd round is what he's looking to do, like he did in his last fight. 2 fights ago against TJ Brown. Julian Erosa is known for his guillotine and his really good cardio. He's not going to fade in this fight. He's only going to get better throughout this fight. I see Darren Elkins shooting in for a takedown, probably in the later rounds, and I see Julian Erosa is a master of the front chokes. Darce choke, ninja choke, guillotine, whatever's in front of him with these long, skinny arms that he just has a gross squeeze on, he's very good at. So I'm going to take Julian Erosa to win this fight by round 3 Darce choke. Darren Elkins getting up there in age and just... he has taken so much damage. It's just when is it going to wear off a little bit? When are you going to kind of show that fade? And I think that Julian Erosa is going to be on a back-to-back-to-back finish streak all by submission.
All by sub?
Well, his last two was sub, so...
Yeah, exactly. That's honestly valid. I have him by finish. I couldn't pick what. I think Darren Elkins just gets finished in this fight.
Yeah.
But
I could see a KO as well.
Yeah.
Fun fact is Julian Erosa flying knee KO'd Nate the Train Landwehr.
Oh, yeah.
In 40 seconds. That's just a fucking weird win. And that's a Julian Erosa type of thing to do. I'm taking Erosa by sub. You got him inside the distance.
Erosa by finish, yeah.
On to our next fight. We have Jim A10 Miller taking on Chase the Dream Hooper. A vet versus the new dog type of fight here. We know Jim Miller. He's coming into this... he's winning his last fight over a perfect round 1 guillotine over Damon Jackson. He jumped the ghillie just like Dustin Poirier would, and he snatched up that neck real good. Got the tap. And it's very impressive to see from Jim Miller. This guy's getting up there in age. He's got the most fights in UFC history, most wins in UFC history, and he's 3-1 in his last 4, with all of them being by finish. His only loss was Bobby Green coming at UFC 300, where it was a fucking beatdown. But then we just see him in his last fight, comes back with a round 1 guillotine over a decent opponent in Damon Jackson. Jim Miller, however, he's got good grappling. He's got great power in his hands. It's the last thing to go, clearly. We saw him when he KO'd Jesse Butler. He fucking put out that kid real bad. I don't really know what we were doing with that matchmaking. Jim, however, has a 50% takedown defense, and I think that Chase will be looking to eat this all day. Jim's only been submitted, I believe, 3 times in the UFC. I'm not going to be able to get all of them. I know Charles got him once. That's probably all I'm going to remember. Either way, it was like 3 guys or 4, and I think that Chase is going to be the next guy to do it. Yeah, Chase Hooper coming into this one on a 4-fight win streak, 3-fight submission streak. His last one being an armbar over Clay Guida. Not that I'm going to compare Clay Guida and Jim Miller, but they're very similar in terms of that vet scrappy style. Yeah. They're going to look for a dogfight. And Hooper handled him. Round 1 armbar, real nice. Before then, he dropped Vyacheslav Borshev. Almost 10-7'd him in the first round, and then submitted him with the Darce choke in the second round. And then before then, he submitted Jordan Levitt, who actually has legit ground game. Chase has been looking more dangerous than ever. His stand-up has really evolved. His frame has really evolved, just kind of as age. He's not that skinny, soy-looking, like you just kind of look at him and just
He
be
looks
like,
like
this
a
guy's a
baby,
fighter in the
that's
UFC.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of how you look at him. But now he's got some muscle on him, and he's a legit prospect coming into his own hands. I think he's 25, 26 years old now, and I think this is just a passing of the torch. I'm going to take Chase Hooper to win by round 2 submission.
Round 2 sub.
Yeah.
I like Chase Hooper by round 2-3 sub too, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't think he knocks him out, but I don't know. Like I'm honestly, I was gonna say I'm interested to see what the decision props are in the fight. I'm interested to just see what it is because I don't know. Like my original thoughts of this fight when I saw it come out was that Jim Miller's not gonna get finished in this fight, and I think Chase Hooper will take it by decision. I don't think Jim wins, but at the same time, I didn't think that he gets finished. But yeah, now seeing Chase Hooper's on a 3-fight sub streak, like I honestly do think he can make it 4. So
yeah,
give me Chase Hooper sub in 2-3.
Moving on to our next fight. Oh, sorry, I said that there was one girl fight on the card. Sorry, our second one here, but I mean one of them's half a girl, right? We got Verna Jandiroba taking on Yao Jianan. Bug-eyed Verna. That's my girl right there. She's on a 4-fight winning streak, all by the same way of victory. She gets takedowns, holding them down, and she looks for subs. She broke the decision streak by hitting a disgusting armbar in her last fight over Amanda Lemos. Very impressive win. She averages 2.3 takedowns per 15, and I just think that that's all she needs in this fight. She's going to obviously be looking for the takedown this whole fight versus someone like Yao Jianan, who's very sharp on the feet. Obviously, we saw her KO over Jessica Andrade. However, Verna's never going to put herself in a situation like Andrade did, throwing 4 consecutive looping hooks to wind up for a fucking right hook. Like, are you actually stupid? I question Andrade.
It looks ridiculous.
It was so
Every
stupid.
single time you go watch it, it looks ridiculous. That clip is so funny.
It was ridiculous. Yao Jianan, however, she's 3-1 in her last 4. Her only loss coming by decision to Zhang Weili. However, I consider that a submission loss to Zhang Weili because that chick got subbed in the first round. She was out cold, chicken dancing for a couple seconds, and the bell rang. She just got out of that one. However, Yao Jianan did have her moments. She did drop Zhang Weili one time. But, I mean, obviously she got, I think it was 50-43 or something, 44, typical Zhang Weili dominance.
Yeah.
And I just think that if Zhang's able to do that to you, we also saw, it was in 2021, but Carla Esparza completely destroyed Yao Jianan and TKO'd her on the ground, left her helpless. Like, she just kind of gassed out and just kind of looked like a fish out of water. We have seen Yao Jianan improve there. She has improved her takedown defense a little bit. However, it's only 60%. And I just think that the way that Yao Jianan wins is just by putting on these crisp boxing performances over people that are going to look to box her. I know she has that win over Mackenzie Dern, but it's just like Dern has the worst offensive takedowns ever, and she's good on her back. So it's just like that's not going to work really against a boxer who's never going to shoot, and someone with you're going to be able to stop fucking Mackenzie Dern's takedown defense. That's probably why her takedown defense stat went up. Overall, I just think that Verna is going to be. I think she's going to look amazing in this fight. I think she's got decent hands. They've only got better. She doesn't put herself ever in a risky situation, and she's dangerous on the ground. I wouldn't be surprised if we see her lock up an arm triangle or an arm bar. But overall, I think I'm just going to take her to win by decision. However, I wouldn't be surprised if that submission happens for Bug-eyed Verna.
Yeah, that's the exact same with me. Because I actually originally had Zonan winning this fight, but yeah, I switched up and I'm going to take Verna by decision for sure. I can see a sub happening too, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, Verna by decision is the pick.
And like Yao Jianan, I forgot to talk about her last win. Like, it was over Tabitha Ricci.
Yeah. Like,
sure, you dominated Tabitha Ricci, but Ricci only had 1 takedown in that fight, so she was just able to get her strikes going. And Ricci's not great. I mean, we know the big reason why she has popularity, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Zhang's the champ of that division, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who do you think wins in that, Verna or Zhang?
It's an interesting fight, but I think it's going to be similar to the Tatiana Suarez fight. I think I've learned my lesson. I don't go against Zhang anymore.
Exactly.
I don't go against Zhang anymore.
Yeah, Zhang's going to win that.
I got Zhang by decision.
Zhang lock.
But yeah, Verna by sub or decision is my official pick.
Verna by decision is the pick.
Dan Ige taking on Sean Woodson. Dan Ige's 1-3 in his last 4, losing his last 2 to Lerone Murphy and Diego Lopes. Before then, he picked up a round 1 KO win over Andre Feely. And then before that, he lost a decision to Bryce Mitchell. Ige's fighting great competition. He stepped in on 4 hours notice versus Diego Lopes and still took that third round off of him. It's very impressive stuff. Ige has a 57% takedown defense, so I think that Sean's going to actually look for some takedowns in his own right in this fight.
Oh, damn. Okay. I think he stays on the feet, honestly. I can see him staying on the feet, but...
Ige's kind of recently been known for just stepping in on 4 hours notice, in my opinion. But the guy does have legit knockout power. He's put out, I think he put out Damon Jackson real bad. And Sean Woodson coming into this one, he's 7-1-1 in the UFC on a 4-fight winning streak. His last fight being his first KO besides Terrence McKinney all the way back in the Dana White Contender Series, I believe, over Fernando Padilla. Just not impressive. And then before then, a decision win over Caceres, Jourdain, and Dennis Bazooka. I think that Sean Woodson has to fight this fight very similar to how he beat Dennis Bazooka. In that fight, he landed 4 takedowns, and that was his ultimate way to victory. He looked good doing it, and I just think when you have a powerhouse boxer with a short frame who's going to be looking in to get into that pocket, Woodson hasn't fought one of those guys in a long time. The 4 guys I named are kind of those skinnier volume punchers, and yeah, completely different than Ige. And the last time that we saw Sean Woodson fight someone with power was Luis Saldana. And people forget, man, Luis Saldana dropped Sean Woodson in the first round twice in about 20 seconds, brutally. Big right hook similar to the O'Malley versus Aljo, how Woodson approached him. Put that boy face down, ass up. Woodson's emoting around wobbled all around the side of the cage, and Saldana doesn't decide to follow up. You know what he does? Takes a knee in the middle of the octagon and starts emoting all over him.
Coach just starts screaming at him. Bro's just emoting. He doesn't care. But what does he do after that? Oh, he comes back and just hits him with a... Wow.
He just jabs him 10 seconds later and drops him.
And drops the fuck out of Sean.
So he drops him twice. And as Woodson's getting back up, Saldana goes in for the rudest people's knee and just takes a fucking DQ loss. Very dumb, and people forget, man. Like I said,
people forget, man.
Luis Saldana is cut from the UFC, and he was making work of Sean Woodson. I know that styles make fights, and everyone's got a different fight.
Right.
That was a couple years ago, but I mean the recovery that I saw from Woodson was next to fucking god awful. And I can see you have to see Dan Ige once in this fight landing a big left hook, similar to Lerone Murphy.
I was just going to say, he did it to Lerone Murphy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're saying no, then...
And if you saw what he did to Bryce's face...
Sean Woodson.
You see how Bryce's face looked after that fight?
Exactly.
You could argue Ige won that fight, in my opinion. I think it was a split decision.
I forgot.
Overall, I just think that this is going to be a tough fight for both guys to win. I see the decision win for Woodson. I do. But overall, I think that Dan Ige is going to have the bigger moments. I think that he can have the decision win, but I'm ultimately going to take him to win by round 2 knockout.
Who?
Dan Ige.
That's your pick?
Dan Ige.
Oh, I thought you just said Sean Woodson by decision.
No, I was naming, I can definitely just see the Sean Woodson decision.
Oh, okay.
There is the path to victory where he keeps him on the outside, picks him apart with his reach.
That's exactly what I think he's going to do. I'm taking Sean Woodson by decision, but yeah, I was going to say, a little solo bet sprinkle can be put on Dan Ige by KO. What is it, plus?
It was plus 400.
Oh, 400?
Yeah, by KO.
Yeah, that's honestly valid.
One little fun fact about Woodson is this guy's obviously you'll see on the graphic, but he's 6'2" fighting at featherweight. And this guy used to be a former heavyweight boxer. So this
Look up
guy's
photos if you haven't seen it.
It's
actually
just
weird
ridiculous.
as fuck.
The guy's a weight bully on Hall of Fame. You think Ryan Battle's a weight bully? Sean Woodson. And he's got a good... I don't know how he does it. He's got good cardio,
it
too.
Doesn't make sense.
But I think that Dan Ige is going to get back on track here and kind of separate himself a little bit. Dan Ige only loses to the best of the best. And he beats these type of guys, in my opinion. And I can't put Woodson on that Lerone Murphy... Bryce Mitchell,
that's honestly
Diego
a valid
Lopes,
way to put it. That's a convincing way to put it.
Type of thing. So I'm going to take Dan Ige to win by knockout.
I want to see Dan Ige win by KO. That'd be sick as fuck.
Yeah. Moving on to our next fight here, and probably the fight that I might be losing my mind to the most, just because how can you not love Dominic Reyes taking on Nikita Krylov? Nikita Krylov here on a 3-fight win streak, but he hasn't fought in 2 years. In early 2023, when he subbed Ryan Spann in the first round.
Damn, that was in 2023?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And if you go back and rewatch that fight, a white belt would have put Ryan Spann in that triangle.
100%,
He literally asked.
He put himself into it.
No, he asked to.
I remember watching that at your dad's apartment.
He said, Krylov, throw me in a triangle and just tap me out.
Yeah.
And that was that. It was literally the stupidest shit I've ever seen because I was cheering for Ryan Spann.
I was just going to say, because that's what I liked Ryan Spann.
Yeah,
bro. He was
the Ryan
Spann.
We've seen him now getting K'd by Waldo at heavyweight, looking goofy as
bro.
fuck.
Like, says he's doing it for his kids, bro. Like, the kid's probably depressed. I'm just playing,
So that's Nikita's last win. Before then, he beat Volkan Oezdemir in 2022, and then before then, he KO'd Alexander Gustafsson in Gustafsson's retirement fight, where there was no need for Gustafsson to have that fight. He got dropped two times really early and just finished with a clinch uppercut. He went down soy as fuck. Krylov's vicious, man. One thing I will say, the guy's got slick jiu-jitsu. He's got really good, weird, awkward striking. He's got a really good 1-2 head kick, 1-2 knee. He throws he'll throw head kicks and then a punch after, like the opposite of a Leon combo. Really slick. However, Dominic Reyes in his own hand. My man is back on a 2-fight KO win streak over Dustin Jacoby and Anthony Smith. Yeah, the level of competition is not great, but neither is Nikita Krylov's, and he's been active. He's been fighting. He fought 2 times last year, and he looked amazing in both of those fights. Before then, obviously, he lost 4 in a row, starting with John Jones.
Yeah, it's just the John Jones effect, though.
Yeah,
can't do anything about it.
But so he lost to John Jones, then got KO'd by Jan, KO'd by Yuri, and KO'd by Ryan Spann. I think Reyes is back though, man. He took some time, and he's bounced back with a vengeance. The chin hasn't been wobbled at all, and I think that Krylov's going to be looking for takedowns early, because I think if you go strike for strike with Reyes, you're just kind of betting on him having a shit chin at that point, because I don't think you're going to outclass him on the feet.
Yeah.
So he'll be looking for the takedown. But if you know Dominic Reyes, this guy has some of the best takedown defense in the game at 85%. John Jones only got him down twice and held him down for 2.5 minutes. The guy doesn't, if he gets taken down, he's back up right in a second, and the takedown realistically means fuck all. I think that Dominic Reyes is going to stuff these takedowns, however. I think he's going to land big bombs throughout this fight, and I think he's going to knock him out early in the second round.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm taking Dominic Reyes back into the top 5. Title picture is soon.
Top 5.
What's Krylov's
8? He's 8.
He's 8?
Yeah.
Shit. He used to be way
top
up there.
Top 5 Reyes would be fucked. That would be
okay, well
crazy.
He'll be fighting into the top 5. Give him a Jan Blachowicz rematch. Give him a. Ooh, there's some fights to make for him though. I think he's gonna find the chin, dude.
I hope he does, man.
I think I can actually vision it.
I don't even really have a pick for this fight. I think it's that much of a toss-up in my opinion, but
I can see like Krylov likes all this like off balance type of striking, and I can see him kind of like if he throws a blind kick and kind of leaves his chin exposed like this, a nice sharp right hook or right hand from Reyes can come in and just clip
it
him.
if it happens.
Yeah, I'm going Reyes by KO with some confidence.
Reyes money line, because I want it to happen though.
Moving on, we have Bryce Mitchell taking on Jean-Lord Silva. Shit. God versus the devil in this fight. We have Bryce Mitchell coming into this one over a dominant round 3 KO win over Kron Gracie, where he had him wasn't it like a half slam KO? He like picks him up and threw him on the ground and then just started big elbows and put him out real good. Before then, he died, obviously, against Josh Emmett. But, I mean, just like Bryce always talks about, Jesus getting reincarnated, comes back with a little knockout win in his own hands. Resurrected, same thing.
Come see, I guess.
I can see Gene landing the round 1 KO bomb. Like, obviously, there's going to be a lot of people going for that, betting on that, and banking on it. I just think that's kind of a little bit unrealistic in this fight. Bryce Mitchell's a huge step up compared to Drew Dober, compared to Melsik Bagdasarian, compared to Weston fucking Wilson. These are Gene Silva's wins. Drew Dober, he's like 1-5 now. He gets KO'd every fight. I love Drew Dober, but like, fuck, man. And Gene actually didn't put him out. It was a doctor stoppage. Bryce is a big featherweight. And the way that he got put out was... It's putting out Goliath. Like, it's...
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? That's not going to happen again. Lightning in a bottle is not going to strike twice. Bryce Mitchell knows that that's what's going to be happening, obviously. And I think he's going to be looking for the takedowns here, obviously. He landed 4 on Barbosa, 5 on Ige, and 7 on Feely. These are way better competition than what Gene's been fighting, and he's doing it against them. Gene Silva got taken down 3 times by Charles Jourdain.
Good note.
Yeah, he K'd him.
Note.
Yeah, he K'd Jourdain. But the fact that you're getting taken down by Charles Jourdain, who's not even a grappler, is saying something. He was 3 times. Bryce Mitchell's going to eat that up alive, dude.
Yeah.
Gene's also been like, you think that Bryce is going to be giving him high fives and daps throughout the fight? Fuck no. Bryce is locked in on this fight, and with the price tag, he's such a huge underdog. Maybe I'm just stupid for this, but I think that he's winning this fight all day. He averages 4 takedowns per fight, and against someone like Gene, this could be a 10 takedown fight decision win. Like, sheer dominance, doesn't even give Gene the life of day to land a good strike.
That's in Barbosa style.
Yeah, and I got this from another video. I forgot
his
what
fight against Edson Barbosa.
Yeah,
Edson Barbosa style.
Or where he dropped him and
yeah, and he just sat on him. It was just ground and pounding the whole time.
Yeah, it was Guru's video actually that he said this, that I'm taking this from, was Guru was talking to Tim Welsh, and he said that the training footage that he was watching from Gene Silva, the guy's just getting spam taken down in his gym. Like, sure, you're working on your takedown defense and like maybe how to recover from takedowns, but it's still not a good. Like, you got to be doing
actually
something.
stuffing it.
Yeah,
to be kind of getting good at stuffing it.
Someone like Bryce, who's a smuggling, top pressure heavy grappler. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Bryce Mitchell can find a submission in his own hands as well.
Genuinely.
Because I could see Gene just genuinely giving up, getting pissed off that persona's not working. He's finally losing his aura. And yeah, that's what I'm going to take in this fight. I'm taking Bryce Mitchell to win by submission or decision, most likely a decision. I just can't bank on Gene Silva winning by round 1 KO. If he does, hats off, the guy's fucked.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
So,
but I think he can do that.
I
really don't want to see it, but yeah, it's almost like I have 2 picks for this. Like, I think it's Bryce by sub or decision as the play, probably, or Silva just by KO, man.
Yeah.
Like round 1 or 2 even. Maybe rocks mid-1, then gets taken down, gets sat on, stands it up round 2, knocks Bryce out. But I mean, we'll see. I pray to God Bryce gets it done. I will be the happiest man.
I really want Bryce to win, man. He deserves it. Like,
I agree.
And another thing I will say too to add on to this is Bryce had 2 takedowns on Ilia Topuria.
1 counted. He had 2. He got back up on the second. He had 2 takedowns.
2 takedowns on Ilia Topuria. Jourdain's taking down Gene Silva 3 times. Let's just put 2 and 2 together here. I have Bryce Mitchell might land 10 takedowns in this fight.
Yeah.
Or 3 takedowns for 5 fucking minutes, holding him down, doing shit.
Can honestly see that too. And honestly, Ilya didn't finish him in the first round. So.
No, another good point actually as well. You're banking on this round 1 KO.
You're banking on Gene Silva by 1. Topuria couldn't do it in 1. So I mean, maybe Josh Emmett did. Whatever, overhand right. Whatever happens to the best.
Lightning in a bottle, man.
Exactly, I agree. But Ilya couldn't do it in 1. So I mean, I think the boys got to wake up a little bit, see the value in Bryce Mitchell here, and honestly go with Bryce Mitchell as the play. I hope so. God, I think he can get it done.
Moving on to our next fight. This is the fight that I'm looking forward to seeing the most.
Okay.
Yair Rodriguez taking on Patricio Pitbull. Dude, I've been waiting for Patricio Pitbull to come into the UFC for like 2 years now. I've been talking about him. He was a double champ in Bellator. He went down and fought for a 3rd belt in bantamweight, but lost that. So he was the first. I think he was the first ever fighter to even attempt a triple belt attempt. He sadly didn't get the 3rd belt though. But one thing that was crazy about him doing that is he was at 155 at Bellator. Usually people would go up a weight class, right? You'd go and fight the 170 champ or the 185 champ.
Yeah.
He's going down he went down to 45 and then went down to 35. Like, that's some neck shit. I don't think you ever see that, to be honest.
Right. Some would say that it gives you an advantage, but at the same time, having to do that double weight cut like that is very tough.
I was gonna say
because like as you say that, I could see someone looking at that and going, "Well, wouldn't it be harder to go up a weight class because you're fighting stronger guys?" But at the same time, the weight cut that's going to take a toll on your body, and you're fighting the best guys in those divisions who have been fighting at those weights. It's like it's very slept on how hard that is to do. So
yeah, and like. Maybe 45 is like a good move, but 35 is crazy. That's a death cut.
That's 20 pounds down from where you actually fight. You're already cutting down to 150. Like, what would you guess he's walking around at?
He's a small guy. He's only 5'6", so maybe 170.
Sure. Even then, bro, like you're already cutting 20 pounds to your fight weight and 20 pounds after that or whatever. It's crazy.
But Patricio is a true MMA legend. He's got 36 wins, 12 KOs, 12 submissions, 12 decisions. He has a round 1 KO over Prime Chandler. He took AJ McKee's donut by submission when he was 18-0. He has a win over Adam Borix, who was 19-1 at the time. You go through the guy's resume, it's absolutely fucking unbelievable. All of his losses at 145, I think he was like 7-2 or something. He's avenged both of those losses, gets him back in finishing styles. The guy is fucking legit. Even though he's getting up there in age now, I think that Patricio, all he has to do is weather an early kicking storm that Yair always does. I think all he needs to do is get him to the ground. And we've seen Yair time and time again. The guy doesn't have very good heart. He just kind of quits on himself. He lets himself get dominated on the ground. He clearly puts no work into the jiu-jitsu, no work into his ground. Maybe jiu-jitsu because he has a decent triangle, submitted Josh Emmett with it. But his takedown defense is fucking god-awful. And Patricio Pitbull's going to be looking for that all day. Pitbull's one of the most well-rounded guys, obviously, his record shows. He's got legit one-punch knockout power. And he's got sick submissions. I can see this fight actually playing out similar to how Volk finished Yair, where he kind of lands a big bomb, stumbles Yair a little bit, and then it's just rush for the takedown, get him to the ground, and it's ground and pound. Because that was clearly a very smart thing to do for Volk. And another thing to go into that fight, just to show how bad Yair's takedown defense is, Volk had 7 takedowns on him, and the fight was done in the 3rd round. You're making Volk look like he's Khabib out there.
That's fucked.
I could go through. I know I had it written down somewhere, but he's suffering 3 takedowns to Holloway, 3 takedowns to Jeremy Stevens. It's just like these guys are fucking strikers, and you're letting him. Josh Emmett in their fight, it was I think 1.5 round fight, or 1 round fight maybe. Emmett had a takedown in that fight. Yeah, he got subbed with a triangle, but yeah, he had 4 minutes of control time before it.
Damn.
It's just like it's so not a good look. Yair, however, he's on back-to-back losses to Brian Ortega in a sub-comeback win where Yair 10-8'd him in the 1st round, dropped him bad. The fight should have probably been stopped. 2nd round, Ortega gets all up in his face, gets the takedown, and Yair quits on himself, gets submitted. And obviously before then he got dominated by Volk. His last win was the Josh Emmett submission, and it's just like, it's not great. His win before then is Jeremy Stevens. Max Holloway a little bit before then. Max Holloway lost. There's the chance where Yair lands a big bomb. Patricio has been KO'd a couple times. Once, I believe. The other one was a leg injury. But his KO loss was like 3 fights ago. His chin did get cracked. So there is that wild kick that could land. Yeah. But I just think that Patricio's too sharp. I think that he's going to obviously know that that's coming. He's going to have a smart game plan coming into this one. And if it's just Yair and his crazy kicks versus Patricio and his just well-rounded, seasoned vet, very good, I'm going to take Patricio Pitbull as the underdog all day. I think Pitbull's going to land a big shot and find the submission probably late round 2, maybe in round 3.
This one's so tough to pick too. This is another one I didn't even have an official pick for because I couldn't nail it down to actually one pick in this fight. I think it goes the distance. I think if Patricio's going to win by decision, then he's definitely worked in his takedowns, probably had a good amount of control time, maybe some ground and pound, and probably broke the heart of the will of Yair again, like we've seen people do to him. So, if it goes to decision and Yair wins, then obviously he executed his kickboxing the entire time. Yeah, it's probably an entertaining fight, but
if I had to, I just can't see him.
Exactly, that's the thing. I heard Guru say it, and he said he's been working on it, but whatever. What proof? What proof? And I don't know. You just don't really know that. Everyone says that. Everyone assumes that after your last fight, if you get taken down X amount of times, then that's the only thing that you're training. And it's only so many people do that. And this guy's just mainly a striker. I feel like I would have to take Patricio by decision. You're good. And
again, even if you are working on it, how much better are you gonna get?
In one training camp.
And you're facing Patricio Pitbull.
Yeah.
The guy's
been doing it. Yeah, exactly.
He's also 5'6" compared to Yair's, I think 5'11". The shorter base, that's very good for takedowns. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's gonna be Yair's head kick is going to feel like a body kick. It's going to be very easy for him to just kind of throw a head kick at him. But I mean, it's a similar frame to Volk, and I see a clear path to victory for Patricio Pitbull, and I don't really see a clear path to victory for Yair. I think he has to fight a very perfect fight.
Yeah, that's fair. That
makes sense. I'm taking Pitbull by submission.
I'm taking Pitbull by decision.
Moving on to our co-main event, 5 rounds in the lightweight division.
It was 5 rounds. I was just going to ask that. That's how
we got Michael Iron Chandler taking on Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. I've kind of flip-flopped through this fight a little bit between who I think is going to win. When it first dropped, I had Paddy, and now I think I'm going with Chandler. And I've actually got some bad things to say about both guys, but more about Paddy. Both guys have 6 fights in the promotion. Paddy 6-0, Chandler 2-4. You look at that and you're just like, oh, this is weird. Chandler's losses, we're going to go over him every single time he fights, right? How can't you? 2 times to Oliveira, 1 to Dustin Poirier, 1 to Justin Gaethje. Insane losses. In my opinion, those guys would all probably butcher up Paddy. Chandler's wins in the UFC, obviously the front kick over Tony Ferguson and the round 1 knockout in his debut over Dan Hooker. Chandler's going to be looking to land the big bomb throughout this fight. Paddy comes in. Actually, let's start with Paddy, because this is something. Paddy's path to victory in this fight is through the grappling, right? Can we agree on that?
Most likely, yeah. I mean, I think he does okay on the feet.
I don't.
Path to victory, I mean, I kind of have him maybe by sub. So
I don't think he does well on the feet at all.
Okay.
That's my take on this fight. Paddy leaves his chin so high up in the air. Like, he comes into the pocket just way up there asking for it to get hit. We saw him in his first 2 fights. I believe it was over like Luigi something Nazuli. The guy got chinned like 2 times, and it was a comeback win for Paddy Pimblett. And in his second fight, got chinned again. Not impressive. His last fight was his first impressive win. It was over Bobby Green.
Yeah, exactly.
The one thing I will say is that it was a submission in the first round, triangle armbar. Bobby Green shot for that takedown. Bobby Green shot for the takedown on Paddy Pimblett. What the fuck are you doing? Sure, you got him with that. It's also Bobby Green shooting for a takedown. It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Before then, he beats Tony Ferguson. Old head Tony Ferguson. Paddy was completely gassed in that 3rd round, and Tony pretty much almost won the 3rd round on him. Not a good look. Before then, he should have lost the fight to Jared Gordon. In my opinion, he got 30-27. He won that fight 30-27, but what the fuck was that judging that night? And this is the one thing I really wanted to say is Paddy has a takedown accuracy of 25%, and the guys that he's fought have a takedown accuracy of 20%. So it's just like, or takedown defense of 20%. Yeah, takedown defense of 20%. So you aren't getting takedowns on guys that traditionally suck at not getting taken down.
Yeah.
You're facing Michael Chandler. The guy got taken down 4 times by Charles Oliveira. Oliveira's going to get everyone to the mat besides Islam Makhachev, who I think he actually did.
I don't remember. I don't think he did.
He might have not, but whatever. Don't talk about that fight.
Don't.
Why did I bring it up?
I don't know.
I just think that Chandler's going to come into this one fucking hungry. He's going to be cheating a little bit. You know, he always does some bullshit.
Yeah.
And I think that all he has to do here is stuff takedowns, because the threat on the feet from Chandler is scary for anyone, no matter who he's fighting. Everyone's going to be looking out for Chandler on the hands and looking to take him down. So if Chandler can play this smart, and I even think that retard, no IQ, round 1 Chandler can actually win this fight by round 1 KO. It'd be a little bit unlikely, but I'm still taking Chandler by round 2 KO.
By round 2 KO?
Yeah. I think that he hurts Paddy really bad on the feet.
I didn't know that Chandler was an underdog. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I just didn't know that.
And I don't think 5 rounds favors Paddy Pimblett.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Now that I'm hearing that it's 5 rounds, like, I don't know.
Chandler just went 5 with Oliveira. Rocked Oliveira in the 5th round.
He did, too. Scary for a second.
Paddy gasping for air in the 3rd round against 40-year-old Tony Ferguson. Imagine what Chandler's going to be doing in the 4th round. He's going to be bucked up, ready to fucking go. He doesn't do those workouts for nothing, right?
Yeah, that's valid.
I just think that Chandler's the hungrier guy, even though he's old. Chandler's a fucking hungry guy, no matter what point in his career he's at. He's always looking for a fucking win.
Paddy by sub for a solo bet.
Paddy by sub is another is like 100% the only other way Paddy wins. No, there is obviously a world where retard Chandler comes out, he shoots for a takedown, Paddy gets his bag and gets a rear naked choke.
Yeah.
Or Paddy lands a takedown. Like, I don't really see that happening. It'll be Chandler shooting for a takedown and he gets caught.
Probably. Actually, I think Paddy will shoot for a takedown.
He'll shoot for takedowns. It's just a question if he gets them.
I think it'll be one of those long, eventually gets him to the ground type takedowns. Like, he'll defend it for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Paddy will probably gas. So, after that.
I'm taking Michael Chandler by knockout.
I like Michael Chandler's money line.
On to our main event. Alexander the Great Volkanovski takes on Diego Lopes. Volk coming into this fight on a 2-fight skid. The devastating KO loss to Ilia Topuria in his last one, and then the devastating KO loss to Islam Makhachev the fight before them. Again, those two names though, Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria. He has a close fight with Makhachev before then as well. Volk is the much better fighter here, hands down. Boxing, wrestling, cardio, credentials.
And yeah, so much of a better resume.
Oh,
such a better resume.
I can go through Diego's resume in a second.
It's terrible.
It's not great.
Brian Ortega. That's about
by
it.
Decision.
Yeah.
Like,
wasn't he 2-3 in his last 5 though?
He
going
was
into that.
Terrible injuries as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Volk just needs to, in my opinion, survive the first round flurry of Diego Lopes, because a lot of people show respect in those first rounds and like kind of ease off a little bit. Even Topuria didn't get a Volk out in the first round because they were both making their sharp reads on each other.
Yeah.
Lopes ain't doing that. That guy's coming in like a bat out of hell from the fucking opening bell, and Volk needs to be ready for that. He needs to be ready for it, or else he will get chinned early or club and subbed or something, and that'll be terrible. No one really wants to see.
I don't want to see that.
No one wants to see that, man.
Whether I think it's gonna happen or not, I don't want to see it.
No,
like fuck.
Diego, his wins obviously being in his last fight, Brian Ortega, and then before then taking out Dan Ige on 4 hours notice, where he lost the third round and gassed completely. He has a round 1 KO win over Pat Sabatini. That's aged okay, I guess. He just beat Joe Anderson Brito by crotch sniffing. And then had that round 1 KO as well over Yusuf Sadiq, which was pretty good at the time. And then has the round 1 submission over Tucker Lutz, and then lost his first fight in the UFC to Mazvar Evloev. Very close. Not very close, actually. It was just a really fun fight. He had a couple really good submission attempts. And actually lost his Dana White Contender Series to Joe Anderson Brito, so there's a nice little MMA triangle there. Sabatini, Brito, and Lopes. Lopes hasn't fought the who's compared to fucking Volk. And no one has. Makhachev twice, Ilia, Holloway 3 times, Yair, Korean Zombie, Chad Mendes. It only goes on. Fuck. And he's winning 95% of those fights.
Exactly.
This is Volk's 10th main event in a row. His 10th fifth-round fight in a row. Lopes has never headlined a fight before. He's never had a 5-round fight in the UFC. And he gassed out to a 4 hours notice Dan Ige. He lost that. I keep saying it, but it's a fucking horrible look coming into this fight against someone like Volkanovski.
100%.
If Lopes doesn't get this fight done in the first 2 rounds, more the first round, because I still think once that first round's over, Volk's locked
Volk's
in.
Volk's gonna have confidence. Exactly. It's all gonna come back.
I either see this being a 49-46 decision win for Volkanovski. He wins 2-3-4-5 and 3-4-5 in dominant fashion, or Lopes gets him out in the first round. My official pick is going to be that Lopes completely gasses out after the 3rd round, and Volk dominates him and KOs him in the 4th round with ground and pound.
Damn, that's crazy. I'm hammering full KO or sub in rounds 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Volk by finish in 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be
and if it goes points, 49-46.
Yeah, it's going to be a 49-46. Imagine Lopes wins. There's no way he wins a decision.
No, I don't think so. No. I genuinely don't think that happens.
No. But yeah, I'm taking Volk to win by round 4 TKO, breaking this under 170 curse of fighters over 35 being 0-34 winning the belt.
Yeah.
This is the fight, man. This is the fight.
This is the fight.
This is the fight.
Pray to God.
Give me cooking with Volk.
Please.
Back in the win column.
The perfect card has Volk and Bryce Mitchell winning here.
Yeah.
Please. Please.
So yeah, Volkanovski and new featherweight champion to finish off the card. And that will do it for our full card UFC 314 full card predictions. in the next one.